A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered here today to witness one of the most awaited moments of the university calendar, the International Conference on Management and Entrepreneurship, ICOME 2025. It is a privilege to announce the fourth consecutive year of the ICOM since its inception in 2022, a remarkable initiative by the Faculty of Management Studies at the Open University of Sri Lanka. This year's conference is held under the theme Shaping the Future, Innovation, Leadership, and Entrepreneurial Excellence. Our goal with ICOM 2025 is simple yet very powerful, which is to build bridges between local and global experts, share knowledge that truly matters today, and foster teamwork that leads to a brighter, more innovative, and sustainable future for businesses and the society. So, without further ado, let us warmly welcome you to the inaugural ceremony of the ICOM 2025 on behalf of the Faculty of Management Studies of the Open University of Sri Lanka. Now, to light the traditional oil lamp, I would like to invite Senior Professor P.M.C. Tilakaratna, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, and our chief guest for today. Dr. Yerasimas Balis, the keynote speaker, the Director of the Postgraduate Institute of English, the Conference Chair of ICOM 2025, the Dean, Faculty of Management Studies, Mr. S.A.D. Senanayaka, the Dean, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, the Dean, Faculty of Natural Sciences, the Dean, Faculty of Engineering Technology, the Dean, Faculty of Education, the Dean, Faculty of Health Sciences, the Registrar of the Open University of Sri Lanka, the Bursar of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor Sharma Veerakon, the Director, Research Unit of the Open University of Sri Lanka, the Director of SETME, the Director of Regional Educational Services, the Head, Department of Organizational Studies, Faculty of Management Studies, the Head, Department of Human Resource Management, Faculty of Management Studies, the Head, Department of Accounting and Finance, Faculty of Management Studies, the Head, Department of Marketing Management, Faculty of Management Studies, and our Conference Secretary for ICOM 2025, and along with Deputy Librarian of the Open University of Sri Lanka on stage.
Thank you very much, dear madam. Thank you very much, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, in order to formally commence the inaugural ceremony, let's together rise for the national anthem. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And now, to proceed further, we would now like to invite the following dignitaries to join with us in the heads table. Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratna, our chief guest, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Dr. Yerasimus Balis, our guest of honor, Mr. S.A.D. Senanayaka, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor Shyama Veerakon, the Director of Research Unit of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Professor Aruna Shantha, the Conference Chair, ICOME 2025, and finally, Dr. Ishara Lakmali, the Conference Secretary, ICOME 2025. Thank you very much, dear Madam and Sir. Now, let me invite Professor Aruna Shantha, the Conference Chair, ICOME 2025, to formally welcome you all. Dear Sir, the stage is all yours.
Good morning, everybody. So as the conference chair, it's my privilege to warmly welcome you all to the 4th International Conference on Management and Entrepreneurship, ICOME 2025, organized by the Faculty of Management Studies of the Open University of Sri Lanka. At the outset, on behalf of the faculty, I am deeply honored to welcome the chief guest of this occasion, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, the Vice Chancellor of our university. Our guest of honor and distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Yerisimos Balis from University of Bristol, United Kingdom, who has joined us in person today, as well as our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Alvis Favato from University of Glasgow, United Kingdom, who is connecting us virtually today. So your presence brings immense value to this conference. Further, I warmly welcome professors, senior academics, all deans, directors of our USL, registrar, bursar, heads of departments, librarian, and all other academic and administrative staff of the university. It is also a great pleasure to warmly welcome session chairs, paper presenters, sponsors, students, our learning partners, as well as all the participants who have gathered here to make this event a success. So when it comes to today's conference, we believe the theme of this year's conference, the Shaping the Future, Innovation, Leadership, Entrepreneurial Excellence, is timely and inspiring. Because today's in rapidly changing global environment, innovation is no longer a choice. So it's a necessity. It enables us to create new solutions. Effective leadership is very crucial because it guides organizations, societies to direct innovations ethically and responsibly. Entrepreneurial excellence empowers them to transform the innovation into impactful ventures. Therefore, as we navigate through these technological advances, economic reality, global challenges, it's innovation and leadership, entrepreneurship that reshape our world for the better. Therefore, it's heart of sustainable growth and development. So this year's conference will bring together a rich collection of research papers under 5 tracks, panel discussions, interactive session with the participation of scholars, practitioners. So we are confident that the conference will foster meaningful dialogue, open up opportunities for collaboration, generate ideas that influence both research and real-world practices. So once again, on behalf of the faculty, I warmly welcome you to the ICOME 2025. I encourage you to participate actively, share knowledge, experiences, and build networks that goes beyond the conference. So I wish all rewarding and successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that warm welcome. Now, let me invite the guiding star of the university, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the Open University of Sri Lanka, and the Chief Guest of ICOME 2025 to address the gathering.
Very good morning to every one of you. Dean, Faculty of Management Studies, Mr. Senanayaka. Keynote speaker, Dr. Yerisimos Balis, University of Bristol, United Kingdom. All the way you came from the UK. Professor Anton Peratna, Dean Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Professor Sunil Silva, Dean Faculty of Health Sciences, Acting Librarian, Bursar of the University, Heads of the Departments, Professors, and Senior Professor Shama Virakon, the Director Research of the University, and the Conference Chair, Dr. Arunashanta, and Conference Coordinator, Dr. Ishara Lakmali, Professors, and again heads of the departments, all senior academics, administrative officers, paper presenters, and non-academic staff, ladies and gentlemen. This moment gives me an immense pleasure to speak few words at this inauguration ceremony of the 4th International Conference organized by the Faculty of Management Studies of the Open University of Sri Lanka under the timely and thought-provoking theme shaping the future, innovation, leadership and entrepreneurial excellence. Of course, I do remember the first international conference when our former dean, Professor Nalin Abesekara, of course, when that we have discussed, so we have to have for this young faculty an international conference, and this relatively young faculty and young, that academics got together with the dean of the faculty to, of course, bring this conference into the reality, first international conference. So therefore, this gathering brings together diverse community of academics, researchers, industry leaders, and policymakers from across the globe. The significance of such an event lies not merely in the exchange of ideas, but in the creation of knowledge networks that have the potential to shape institutions, industries, and societies in profound ways. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in an era where the pace of change is unprecedented. Innovation has become the lifeblood of progress. Leadership, the compass that provides direction, and entrepreneurial excellence, the driving force that transforms the challenges into opportunities. These three pillars, innovation, leadership, and entrepreneurship, it is not segregated things. It is all are interwoven threads that define the future of sustainable development and inclusive growth. The role of higher education in this context is critical today. Universities must act not only as custodians of knowledge, but also as incubators of creativity, catalysts of leadership, and enablers of entrepreneurial ecosystems. Through teaching, research, and collaboration, we must inspire our students and communities to become resilient, problem-solving, and visionary leaders. That's what we need, visionary leaders into this country who can navigate uncertainty and complexity with confidence. Today, of course, our country not free from the problems. Even other countries in Southeast Asia. Now you take what's happened to the Nepal? Just that banning of the social media led people to set a fire, set a blaze to the parliament. Is that the education we are valuing in the world? No. Are we going for agitation for everything? No. There is a negotiation. There is of course, intellectual dialogue. But with that, all constructive criticisms were paved the way for that any university, any entity, any country to develop. This conference provides a platform for us to reflect on how we as educators and researchers as well as practitioners can bridge the gap between theory and practice. We have a lot of research. It's good always research is that again we find theoretically or practically a problem. So we define the problem, then that we formulate hypothesis, and then so we have different model specifications. We do that adapt different softwares to test it, data, and then we conclude. Again, the passion is that whatever the research should come close to the reality. Then departments, faculties, universities, and the country will get developed. So this is an opportunity, therefore, to examine how innovative practices can be scaled, how leadership can be redefined in a rapidly changing world, and how entrepreneurial excellence can be nurtured to address local and global challenges alike. I extend my sincere appreciation to the Faculty of Management Studies for its tireless efforts in bringing this conference to the reality. It is not an easy task. Professor Aruna Shant, of course, very recently the university promoted him to the professor, still awaiting the council approval. But he is a professor now. And dean and all heads of departments, as well as all academics and paper presenters, and the organizing committee, along with the contributors, as I said, of our distinguished speakers and participants, ensure that this event will be both intellectually stimulating and practically impactful, as I stated. As we embark on the proceedings of this conference, let us be reminded that shaping the future is not a task for tomorrow. I always used to say, it is a responsibility for today. We should not wait for anything. Together, through dialogue, collaboration, and innovation, we can chart pathways that lead to a more inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous future. Therefore, I wish conference every success and encourage all paper presenters, researchers, participants to engage actively, share generously, and leave this gathering inspired to make a difference. I really like to stay with you whole day, but with my official commitments, I need to leave. So therefore, please permit me to leave. And once again, I wish all the very best, because our Vice Chancellor is the person always very pleased to witness this kind of, that international conferences of the university, where I always humbly, with utmost good faith, believe university development is not my development. It is a development of the mass, because Dr. Balis, our university is a distinct university. This university is the largest university here in Sri Lanka among the 17 state universities. The Open University of Sri Lanka, I love, we love, all that population or all people in Sri Lanka love for the Open University. Why? We are the university where bringing education to the doorstep, those who cannot reach to the higher education, we are reaching the unreached. And our university, again, scattered all over the country. We have 28 centers, 48,000 students today, 6 faculties, many more things to state, but it's not the time. So therefore, this conference and all university development is, as I said, like this, the 3 wordings, 3 pillars: innovation, leadership, and entrepreneurial excellence. All what my advice is, we all are entrepreneurs. Because why? From the again, preschool to the university education, and we are learning. But it is not the theory always. We need to practice it. It means that whatever we learn in a different way, we always used to put into the reality. Then we all become leaders, we all become practitioners, we all become entrepreneurs. Our university, our country, and world will be very, that colorful at the end of the day. So with this note, I wish all the very best once again for this international conference. Thank you and have a productive day.
Thank you very much, sir, for your encouraging words. It means a lot for us as a faculty. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached one of the most important events, which is the launching of the proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, to officially present the proceedings, now I would like to cordially invite the conference chair, Professor Aruna Shanta, to present the proceedings to our Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor, PMC Tilakaratna. Thank you very much, sir. Next, to our guest of honor, the keynote speaker, Dr. Gerasimus Balis. Thank you very much, sir. Up next, we have Mr. S.A.D. Senanayaka, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies. Thank you very much, sir. And finally, to the Director of Research, Senior Professor Shyama R. Veerakon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached yet another important moment of the opening ceremony, which is our first keynote speech delivered to you by Dr. Gerasimus Balis from the University of Bristol of the United Kingdom. To introduce Dr. Gerasimus, I invite the conference chair, Professor Aruna Shanta, on stage.
So it's a great privilege for me to introduce the first keynote speaker of ICOME 2025, Dr. Gerasimus Balis. Dr. Gerasimus is a pedagogical director and postgraduate research director at Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, University of Bristol. His work focuses on pedagogy, innovation pedagogy, and understanding how interdisciplinary education can drive creativity, entrepreneurship, and real-world impact. His works on real-life projects with external partners addresses challenges ranging from sustainability, community well-being, to emerging technologies and business innovation. As pedagogical research director, Dr. Balis investigates learning models, practices outcomes, and explore how experimental and project-based learning shapes graduates prepared to navigate uncertainty and lead innovation. He also supports a diverse community of postgraduate researchers, teachers across entrepreneurship, design thinking, and system thinking, while actively fostering collaborations that reimagine how innovation education can prepare the leaders of tomorrow. Please join me in warmly inviting Dr. Balis to deliver keynote address. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Brilliant. I'll set up my timer, make sure I don't go over the 20 minutes I have. Amazing. Thank you for welcoming me today. I want to thank the Vice Chancellor as well as the conference chair for making it so easy for me to come in to share our experience from Bristol. And my plan is to spend the next 20 minutes making a case for our way of approaching these very big questions. So how do we educate future leaders? How do we educate future innovators? I'm going to do it in a humble way. I'm not saying that we necessarily have solved it. It's not a solved problem, and I'm sure what we do would need to be adjusted in different contexts and so on. But it is a novel approach, I think, in doing that. So I will share with you what we do. I'll start by making a point of the fact that it works, and I'll talk about what that means. So what success looks like, and how do we know this kind of intervention and this kind of program works. And then I'll abstract a bit, so we'll move, we'll zoom out and have a look at some of the factors that contribute to that, okay? And I have 20 minutes to do that. This is a very strong microphone, okay? Of course, I don't need to say a lot about the global context at the moment. Just a picture of Earth in 2025. It's not an easy year. A lot of things are changing. There's a sense of uncertainty around the world, not just technology, but also politics and the way innovation and even sciences are being challenged in certain parts of the world. There's this sense of uncertainty from climate change, sustainability crises, geopolitical instability, and so on. So we need to be very purposeful when we think about the very big questions that we're talking about today. And some of the themes that I'll draw from for this talk are presented here briefly. So I'm going to talk about interdisciplinarity, diversity, future-oriented thinking, creative thinking, and the importance of authenticity. And I'll draw both from an empirical as well as theoretical reflections. And of course, I'll invite you within the scope of this conference to think about maybe how these themes could be applied locally. I think it fits really, really well what we do at Bristol with this initiative in Sri Lanka to think about innovation in new ways, okay? Move closer to the mic. Thank you. That's even louder now. Is that okay? Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. So yeah, big picture first. I don't assume everybody knows where our university is because it's not a big city. So this is where I'm based, the city of Bristol, only a couple of hours from London, and we're part of the broader ecosystem of innovation in the UK. We're a couple of hours from Birmingham and London as well, and this is how we talk about our city. So it's not the biggest city in the UK. It's the 8th largest city, but it's an amazingly sort of cultural city, a very creative city, and one of the greenest cities in the UK as well. I brought some pictures with me to bring some of Bristol to Sri Lanka. This is what it looks like. This is where I'm based. It's a lovely place to work, and of course I'm based at the university, and it has a very long history of excellence. I brought some of the information here about our rankings, but it's in the Russell Group of universities, so research-oriented universities, top 10 in the UK, and we have a lot of statistics on the website, so top 50 universities in the world, top 10 in the UK, and so on and so on. We're also the home of Set Squared, which is one of the best startup accelerators in Europe. I wanted to give you a bit of context for the university before I zoom in on the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So this is where I'm based, and the model I'm presenting today has been running for almost a decade, and it's an approach that is inherently interdisciplinary, right? So as I will discuss, in this model, we invite people from across the university to come to our faculty, or our center, I should say, to get a degree in their discipline, but with innovation. So, for example, you can be an engineer, you can study film and TV, you can study anthropology or history, and do these degrees with innovation. So they get all of the depth of the 3 years that they would normally do, and then every year they do projects at the Center for Innovation, working with other people from across the university. So this is broadly the approach. I'll explain the structure later as well. And this is how we know it works. We've been shortlisted as the Entrepreneurship Course of the Year in the EEE Awards, which is a global recognition. We have been recognized this year as well as a Center of Excellence from a UK professional body, IOEE, and we were celebrated for our authentic assessment. I'm saying this just to highlight the importance and all the work we do to make assessment authentic. I'll touch on that in a second as well. And the other part of the puzzle that I wanted to sort of present to you is that we do that while we have some of the most satisfied students in the country. So we ask the students, in the UK there's a big survey, so all of the students from across the UK, at their final year, they're invited to reflect on their experience, right? So this is the student survey, the National Student Survey, and we're significantly ahead of the Russell Group average, right? We practically could not improve on the feedback we get from students. I'm saying this because we think it's very important, right? So we have a model that produces great outputs, and our students are the most satisfied students in the UK in comparable programs, certainly. And this is what it takes. It takes a team. I'm sure I'm missing one or two people, but this is most of my team, and I'll talk about their expertise in a second. But this is the slide to take a picture of, or at least go on LinkedIn and find some of these people. They are very, very keen to share information. They're very, very keen to share their expertise, and I'll talk about the mix of people we have briefly for 1 minute. But we hire academics. So a lot of these people have PhDs. You don't see it in all of them. So not everybody says they're a doctor on LinkedIn, but we also hire people who are professionals. So if somebody has worked in consultancy for 15 years, we consider that enough of a credential to put them in front of our students and say, okay, what can they learn, how we can prepare them, and so on. We also have people with startup experience. So a couple of these people, 3 or 4 of these people have sold companies in the past as well, and they're working with the university to share that experience. So there's a great mix of expertise. We have engineers, consultants, and so on. So it's a brilliant mix of people, and that's part of the story, of course. Let me move things along. I was introduced. I'm the pedagogical research director. So I want to talk about So I keep saying it works. So let me tell you what that means, right? So we have a really good percentage of our students achieving what they want to do after their degree, right? So this is the number one metric we care about. Sometimes that takes the shape of graduate programs. So they go on to large organizations in the leadership track of the organization. So we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them joining teams for consultancy. We have a lot of them becoming entrepreneurs. So they're embedded in large organizations and they contribute that way. We have student founders. I'll talk about them in a second. And some of our students go on to do academic research as well. Jihad is doing work with supporting refugees using design thinking. And another student is working with the company Dyson that makes all kinds of appliances now to make sure their engineers are thinking the way we teach. So they are interdisciplinary as well. So she's doing her research with Imperial. A lot of our students choose to go into entrepreneurship, and they do startups, all the way from lifestyle businesses to innovation-driven companies. And let me fast forward a bit to what I call here the secret sauce. I pointed to it already, but it's basically the ability to bring people from all of those disciplines together in one room. Ask anybody working at the university, and this is a very difficult thing. Just making sure twice a week they can be in the same room to run innovation training, innovation education with us. So these are the degrees that we give, and this is anthropology with innovation, accounting, and business management with innovation, and so on. I'll stand on this slide for 1 minute because it gives you a sense of the shape of the program. We have these students for 4 years, and in these 4 years, they do innovation from day one. So the white and the light purple blocks are the units that we teach on the innovation side, and the other programs is just to give you a sense of the balance between innovation and what they do, right? So it's almost 50% in their 3rd year, and we almost have 80% or 70% in their 4th year. So it's like this gradual progression in innovation, and I'll talk about the showcase now. But yeah, the important thing is that this program is pretty much unique in the UK. There's no other organization that does that brings them together. So let's see some of the outcomes. Let me talk about some of the outcomes of this this program. So the first example I want to talk about to illustrate how we do this and how we support students is KDIM. So KDIM is an AI-driven business that helps animators and people who make video games create digital assets very quickly, right? So it was set up by Constantina and Roman, and it was done as part of the work that we do in our units. They shaped their idea in their last couple of units, or the last couple of years rather, and then these are the years where we say, okay, we really need to care about the numbers now. You need to be able to make a business case about your ideas. So we introduce them to, and we really push the whole finance side of things. And then we also, using the networks of the university, we gave them access to Aardman, which is a company based in Bristol that does animation. And they use the assets from this company to train the algorithm that they use in their business, right? So it's an example that, somebody might say, it's business as usual, so we're really good at doing this at the business school already, but I want to make a case that we go way beyond that. So yes, they have computer science with innovation, but it's not just business as usual. And there's other examples of entrepreneurs. I'm going to talk about two of them, looking at the time, that illustrate what we do. The first one is Pequel. So these students walked into the room and said, when I go to festivals, I queue for the toilet a lot. I need to solve this. And I couldn't see a solution to this. What's more efficient than just getting more toilets in a festival? But they're not business as usual students, right? There's an anthropologist in the room, there's a physicist in the room. So they did in-depth studies about what women prefer, and they designed the UK's first squat and go urinal. This is what it looks like. I'm sure you're curious to see what it looks like. But the point is that their research was deeply informed by observations in the real life, and what women find private, what are their needs or whatever. So the first part of this is just to illustrate the depth that we go to in terms of user-centered research. So if the second half is the business as usual and the business finance and so on, the first half is very much user-centered research and really understanding your problem space before innovating. And of course, they benefited from the prototyping lab we have. So there's a technician waiting for them. When they want to design something physical, there's somebody there to make a prototype and help them do that. I'll skip the other examples, but I'm happy to talk about them later. There's a couple of other examples, again, from women entrepreneurs looking at problems that are specific to women. So yeah, we'll talk about that a bit more. I wanted to abstract a bit from some of these approaches. So we don't just bring people together. We have a very structured way of giving them the content. So we start them off really early on with methods, really practical tools that they use around design thinking, around design research. So how to identify a problem space, and what do you do once you identify that problem space? What kinds of observations and ethnography and so on do you need to do to understand it in detail? And then we group those methods into processes that we teach them, because not every project is the same, not every problem is the same. Processes might look alike, and we have different names for these processes. Design thinking, or a project might need a bit more research, or other times the data will be there. So how do we prototype faster, for example? So we teach them different approaches, and through time, and this is where this program structure is important. Through time, these things abstract into mindsets, right? So if you want somebody to be a natural designer, to be a natural innovator, to see a problem and say, I know what to do, you give them time, right? It's not a 1-year innovation postgraduate degree, it's a 4-year process. And when they go out to that interview at the end with that consultancy, they can say, I have 4 years of experience doing that, right? Because we give them time, enough time for that to become a mindset. So this is my first prompt for you. What approaches are you willing to try? And in your teams, how can you give people time to experiment and maybe fail? And the second thing I want to focus on is the nature of interdisciplinarity. So this is what we are increasingly finding to be very central to the challenge we have and the mission we have. It's not about putting them in the same room, it's about making them feel like their disciplinary background is important. So when you do have an engineer in the team, how do you make sure they bring that in the discussion? When you have a designer in the room, how do you make sure they bring that in the discussion? So I invite you to think about your teams and their expertise and be more open with that. And then go beyond asking them to bring their expertise, to be very mindful about how we bring them together. So people know that level of integration and awareness is very important. You ask them to reflect on it, and in fact, that's the third part of it. So it's that interdisciplinary depth, and then it's the integration that happens through time, and the last thing is the ability to reflect on that. So yes, we sit them together, we challenge them to bring out their own expertise, but we do it in a mindful way. So my last invitation and prompt to you is to explicitly talk about these differences and say, okay, this is what I think as a management student. I'm sure from a technical perspective this is different. I'm sure from a design perspective this is different. Tell me what you think, and be very open to that. My timer will go off. So before I leave you, thinking about the future, it's a tricky time. There's a lot of consolidation. These are the top technologists in the world and leaders of technology coming together in a sort of scary consolidation around Trump there. This is just a snapshot to say things are going to be difficult. There's going to be uncertainty going forward for everyone. But if we sit down with interdisciplinary teams and be open to creativity, it's more likely that we'll get to sort of meaningful solutions. Thank you very much. I'm happy to talk about these ideas, but I only had 20 minutes to introduce them. So if you are curious about these things, please reach out to me in the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for those thought-provoking words. I think the audiences have several questions, and the time is for you now. If you have any questions, you may raise them now.
Dr. Balis, I'm Asanka here. Right. Now, based on your experience, thank you very much for the presentation. Actually, it is very informative and very interesting. My question is very simple. Now, what kind of social enterprise activities would you suggest, especially for Sri Lanka, which can create social impact as well as financial sustainability? May I ask the question again, Dr. Balis?
The question was, what kind of
social enterprise activities would you suggest for Sri Lanka?
For the university. Okay. In general, social enterprise and social innovation require a lot of scaffolding and support. So in the UK, social enterprise happened because there's very distinct legal entities and schemes that people can apply for. So very meaningful distinctions between the types of business, and that allow people to express in a very explicit way the focus and the mission of each organization. That means that in the long term, funds will be protected, assets will be protected, and so on. So at the systems level, definitely support for those people. And then as the university, any kind of intervention that invites people in and gives them time to explore a problem is the starting point. And then educating them on the option of saying, yes, we could do it this way and go for the commercial route, but there's an alternative option that creates social value in parallel. So it needs to be embedded in the entrepreneurship education. So the standard business route and then the alternative sort of social value creation sort of side needs to be embedded in in education as well. The more we talk about it as an option, as an alternative, the more likely people are to adopt it, because it's a difficult route, but it has the beauty of it will never run out of scope and problems. Society will always have the next thing to focus on, and with social enterprise, we say, okay, let me try, a commercial approach. Let me build a vehicle, but there needs to be the legal structure for that vehicle for them to build something. Does that answer the question? Sorry,
Yeah,
it was a very big question.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Balis. Thank you.
Thanks. I'll be around in the conference as well. You can find me and we can chat if you want. I couldn't hear you very well, sorry. So the question was, is an entrepreneur born or are they created? It's a very big one, isn't it? Existential almost. Being an entrepreneur is being able to play a game in the current system that we're working on, right? Speaking the language of money to do the things you want to do, and building a business as a vehicle to do the things you want to do. Nobody's born with the ability to speak that language and navigate the system we just happen to find ourselves into. We grow up in this system, right? So an entrepreneur can't be born. An entrepreneur is a person who knows how to raise funding, who knows how to put together a business plan, who knows, so I might be biased because I'm in education, but I would say, no, they can't be born. We make entrepreneurs. We teach them how to play that game. Everybody wants to improve the world. Everybody wants to improve their lives, make money, serve a purpose. People want to do that, create value. Entrepreneurship is just a way to do that. So let's teach them how to do that, and then we'll have more entrepreneurs, including social entrepreneurs.
I would like to ask very backward question, maybe all theoretical school. I'm trying to understand the UK version of the university and Sri Lankan version of the university. In fact, as you explained in the presentation, because what would be the kind of difference between vocational training college and a university? Because knowledge produces knowledge, and also it should have practical value. I understand that, but here I'm trying to understand the difference between the university and a vocational training college. If you can explain, it would be highly appreciated. Thank you.
So, being research active means that you create knowledge. The universities that were grouped in my presentation under the Russell Group universities and so on are research universities. So the commitment is that in parallel with the teaching, we also step out every now and then and talk to professionals, talk to policymakers, and get data to produce that knowledge. So that's the big difference. If you find yourself in an organization that only is focused on training, that's the more vocational side of things, and it's a very noble thing to do. Even within the University of Bristol, there's different pathways, we call them. So there's academics like me that focus more on the teaching side, but within a research-oriented institution. And we're invited to use research and be up to date. So our teaching is informed by research, but the majority of academics are very, very research active. So like a third of their time, at least, is spent on collecting data and creating new knowledge. But in our center, we focus more on the teaching, and I show you the outcomes of that. We have very, very satisfied students and very successful students because we focus there. So at the university, we definitely strike a very good balance between the two. Does that answer the question? Yeah. Yeah.
Very good, interesting area for that. Especially in Sri Lanka, we need to develop the entrepreneurship sectors. But actually, in practically, especially in Sri Lanka, most of the entrepreneurs, the background's not much education side.
Mm-hmm. As
But,
long as
yeah, so the very less people, those who have high education or good education system, they are not. Very few people only in the entrepreneurs. How we can maintain the gaps? How we can fill these gaps from the university responsibilities and governments like that?
So, society having very clear pathways for education and jobs it's a great thing, but we just need from those who do have this education, the opportunities for them to use that education to create something new. So this can go all the way to researchers commercializing their research. So we have PhDs commercializing research, for example, at the top of that ladder. And a university needs to be very good at that. And in the UK context, increasingly we do put a lot of time and effort into that. So our university has Bristol Innovations dedicated to that. Like it's a part of the university dedicated to that. And we are part of Runway, we call it, again, to support students who are not PhDs yet or, you know. So at the top of the ladder, this is what universities need to do, support, for example, an engineer or a chemist to start a business. And the difference, of course, is playing that game that I talked about a second ago. The entrepreneur just knows how to play the game, right? So the person who has the education brings another type of expertise. And then lower down that ladder, the question becomes, okay, how easy can we make it for others to engage in that game of entrepreneurship? Because it's just building a vehicle, identifying as an entrepreneur and saying, I'll register a business. Oh, I need to pay taxes now. No, thank you. And they don't register, right? So how do you create an environment that says, no, you don't need to pay taxes until you make, this amount of money. And they say, okay, I can play with that. I can try something. So the more people we can sort of facilitate playing that game of entrepreneurship, this is how you make it democratic. People having the tools and making it accessible and not just making it an elitist hobby that you do after you have a career, right? Make it available for everyone. Thanks. Thank you.
I believe that's all the questions we have for today. So thank you very much, sir, once again. And in appreciation, we would like to warmly welcome you to accept the token of appreciation that we have prepared. And in order to present the token of appreciation, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies to present the token of appreciation to our keynote speaker. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, next up we have prepared a pleasant delight for your eyes, a traditional dance.
Teiyat, 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 tam.
Thank you so much for that lovely performance. Next, we have the second keynote speech of the day, presented by Dr. Alvis Favoto, a senior lecturer at the University of Glasgow, United Kingdom. Dr. Favoto will be joining us online today, and to introduce him, I now invite Professor Nalin Nabesekara, the former Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and the founding chair of ICOME, on stage.
A very good morning. It is my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Alvise Favoto, Associate Professor at the Adam Smith Business School, University of Glasgow. Professor Alvise Favoto is an Associate Professor at the Adam Smith Business School, University of Glasgow. His research sites at the intersection of accounting and political science, with a particular focus on corporate political activities and questions of accountability. He has published his leading journals across both fields, including Critical Perspective on Accounting, Financial Accountability and Management, Regulation and Governance, and Policy and Society. His current work explores how corporations navigate and influence regulation and public policy, especially around environmental and social sustainability, and what this means for the democratic accountability and public trust. Beyond his publications, Dr. Favoto has contributed extensively to academic thought and has been recognized with prestigious research grants that reflect the impact and importance of his work. Dr. Favoto continues to shape global debate on corporate governance, ethical business practices, and the role of corporations in society. We are privileged to have him with us today, and now I warmly invite Dr. Alvise Favoto to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you very much for the kind invitation to be here today and share my ongoing research with you. I'm very grateful for the invitation, but also apologize for not being able to be there in person. I'm going to share screen if possible, and I'm going to start my presentation. Hope you can see my screen. Okay. So the presentation today will start with a little bit of an introduction of like where I'm based, perhaps a little bit of about the university and business school that hosts me, and then we move to the main objective of the talk, which is discussing the political life of public sector accounting and audit. Um, as it has been anticipated, I'm based at the University of Glasgow. This is in north of the UK in Scotland, and we're based in the beautiful Adam Smith Business School, which you can see in the picture here. The business school is named after Adam Smith, the economist who used to teach moral philosophy at the university in the 18th century. Recently, in 2023, we celebrated our Adam Smith 300, which commemorates the 300th anniversary of the birth of Adam Smith. Within Adam Smith's ideas of moral philosophy, there is always been an attention on the relationship between business and politics. And a lot of my research kind of takes inspiration, broadly speaking, from that and moves to ideas of accounting and audit, which is really my bag. So, what I'm going to present today is a project which is ongoing and has involved myself and a colleague at the University of Glasgow, Professor Lee Parker, over the last 2 or so years. And we're looking into public sector accounting and audit. Why? Because there is more and more understanding that those practices are central for guaranteeing transparency and answerability to citizens and society in general. So there is an expectation for these practices to be objective, to be transparent, to be neutral to politics. But in general, what research tells us is really that these practices operate in a very politicized environment. The degree and extent of politicization will, of course, vary and depend on different geography and institutional context, but political agenda, reputation of policymaker, interest of different parties will shape accounting and audit practice. So you see there is a tension there between what accounting and audit are supposed to fulfill in the public sector and the ecosystem in which they operate. And the risk here is to kind of disregard this political environment, this politicization, this political ecosystem. And if we do so, we risk misinterpreting the potential accountability as to inform and enhance decision making for citizens and society. This is really guiding research questions that that Lee, Parker, and I have been kind of working on over the last few years. How does politics penetrate public sector accounting and audit, and with what implications for accountability? And those implications for us are really key. So for this brief presentation today, I'm going to start with some of the reflections that Lee Parker and I put together in a recent published paper that you can see down there in the slide. But we are going to move later on a bit further. Okay. Sorry, I think I have one device. Sorry about that. So what I'm going to then move to is a discussion of what this question implies for innovation and for future leadership, especially in the public sector. So we started in our theoretical kind of project by looking into classic forms of accountability in the public sector. And here we have at least three: public accountability, which is answerability to citizens and society at large; managerial accountability, which is really the responsibility of public managers for delivering programs and results. And this is very much mediated by calculative practices such as KPI, performance indicators, and the like. Then you have political accountability, which is where elected officials are held to account for their policy choices, and outcomes. And this is very much true political and institutional mechanisms. Of course, this will vary depending on the context, and the ultimate kind of judge there is elections. Of course, this type of accountability is relational in a sense that it not just build relations from different parties, being those policymakers, citizens, and the like, but also it shapes those actors, it constructs those actors. Now, this is all good and nice in theory, but one sentence the Vice Chancellor mentioned in his opening talk really resonated with us for this project. The Vice Chancellor said research should come close to reality. And this is what we've been trying to do. So, in other words, we have been trying to look into areas where accounting and politics will intersect. What spaces the political penetrates when it comes to accounting and audit practice. And we conducted a literature review of prior research over the last 25 years to see how this literature and thinking and conceptualization developed. And we found at least three spaces where accounting, audit, and the political intersect. First is an area where basically accounting serves political agendas. Theories would say that it shouldn't, but research shows that in many events it does. And accounting in this space is mobilized to defend and support policies or for attacking opponents and for countering opponents. Now, so in this space, public interest remains a priority, but it also kind of intermingles with the partisan and reputational base. The second space is research that looks into how politicians use reports. Now, politicians rarely engage with detailed reports. They prefer summaries, they prefer headlines and very quick data. But then the question is, who produces these data? And the data there are produced by civil servants. So then you see how civil servants comes to play a very political role. Because the way in which they shape those briefings, the way in which they shape those numbers, accounting numbers, actually fulfills a political role. And then the third area is performance audit. Performance audit is an area that attracts a lot of political media attention. Why? Because comparing with financial audit, it is where we settle and decide how to use public resources. We measure efficiency and effectiveness. So this becomes an highly sensitive ground where government seeks legitimacy or audit can provide ammunition and arguments for opposition to counter government. What does this mean for our notions of accountability? What happens when we take those theoretical ideas, we bring them forward and we bring it closer to practice? Number one, public accountability becomes managed. The key word really here is managed. In other words, governments will try to convey and to basically maintain transparency, but this is very much a managed transparency where we also try to really protect reputation, power, and basically political parties in command. And then we have another shift, which is from managerial accountability, theoretically conceived, to what Lee and I call political managerial accountability, whereby managers come in a more political role. And in other words, they are held to account not just for fulfilling their managerial work, but also for delivering on political promises. So you see that two kind of public and managerial kind of definition become more and more blurred. The last one is political accountability. And here we see a shift inward, which means that basically the political accountability, which is ultimately aimed to citizens and to the democratic political process, becomes a bit more of a concern of self-preservation and maintaining power as we are. What does this imply? First, we read to see and literature tell us that classic forms or theoretical forms of accountability evolve into hybrids when we bring them close to reality. And why this is? Because like political influence and the political environment plays an important function. Also, we have seen that a lot of these forms of accountability are aimed, at least theoretically, outward to serve citizens and society, but they really turn inward when it comes to practice. And this is a risk that requires moderation through leadership, through innovative thinking on how we govern. And most important probably element is that this hybrid accountability we talk about shapes, makes politicians, managers, and citizens different. And so this might also help to explain why sometimes we see citizens very far from politics, not caring too much about politics. Because maybe if accountability turns inward, citizens might feel excluded or risk feeling excluded. I'm going to conclude with a couple of questions I leave for discussion on where this can move forward in terms of future research if you're operating in this space. Number one, there is a very little understanding of how political strategies are used by politicians when they mobilize accounting and audit. How they mobilize it, for what purposes, with what outcomes. Then how do these hybrid forms of accountability reshape the role of politicians, managers, and citizens? As we were saying, do they feel more disconnected, the citizens especially, from the world of politics? Is there a possibility of producing echo chambers where politicians work in some sort of isolated world where they stop being relevant for society at large? And of course, how do These accountability practices vary across political system and political contexts. A lot of what we know comes from the West. Is that enough? Should we expand that overview? So to conclude, I'm just going to close with key takeaways. One, accounting and audit are supposedly or theoretically neutral, transparent, fair, but they're really political practices. So they're shaped by that politics. Now, this has implications for accountability, and it does reconfigure. Lee and I have been trying to kind of decide or at least distill how this more real type of accountability looks like. But then for upholding democratic imperatives, then we need to recognize the effects of and the ramification of politics into these accounting and audit practices and refrain from forgetting or bracketing politics out. Thank you very much for your listening. You can find my email there. Of course, unfortunately, I'm not able to be there in person, but I would be very happy to answer any question. And of course, more than welcome to email me if you want kind of this conversation ongoing. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Favato, for your very, very insightful findings. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to cordially invite the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Mr. S.A.D. Senanayaka, to address the gathering.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Senior Professor PCM Tilakaratna. Even though he is not here, he was here. Dr. Gerishimas Balis, our keynote speaker, and Dr. Alwais Favato, Professor Arunashanta, ICOME conference chair, deans of faculties, especially Professor Sunadi Silva, Professor Anton Pieratna, Mr. Harsha Balasurya, acting librarian, Senior Professor Shama Veerakwan, our Director Research, Dr. Anura Vikramasinghe, Bursa, all heads of 4 departments of the faculty, Professor Nalin Abesekara, a former dean, Director EDCU, Dr. Janaka Hinkenda, professors and academic colleagues of our sister universities, representatives from industry, all academic colleagues in the faculty, distinguished invitees, research gathered here as well as who have joined via electronic communication systems, Ms. Madhusha Silva, our Assistant Registrar, Dr. Ishara Lakmali, the Conference Secretary, all non-academic staff and supporting staff of the university, ladies and gentlemen. Friends, we are gathered here for a good cause, the commencement of the fourth ICOME research conference organized by the Faculty of Management Studies. And I would like to reiterate, it's the fourth international conference organized and conducted by the faculty. The Faculty of Management Studies is the youngest faculty of the university, set up just 6 years ago. And we are organizing the fourth consecutive research conference. To date, the faculty has been adding more features at conference year by year. And it is being accomplished while facing the competition within and outside the university for research and research communication. And ICOME is becoming a key event in the university by this date. The research conference is in addition to the 2 research journals published by the faculty. And we are serving for 9 academic programs. And in addition to that, we have a set of short courses, as well as we are serving for PhD candidates as well. So that is what we are today. So formally, the former faculty leaders and teams made these avenues for what we are today. As well as I'd like to appreciate the university administration, those who have supported wholeheartedly to come to this level. Yes, even for organizing this one, it's a real help, and we admire it very much. This annual research summit isn't just an academic event. It is a celebration of curiosity, collaboration, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Yes, we are here. So each paper received for this conference underwent a comparative selection process and was selected by review panels, and sometimes with suggestions for improvements. These papers will be presented today, and the conversations that follows the presentations and the connections made here are meant to reflect what we stand for as a community that believes in the proper power of ideas that shape the future, and for overall development of you and the faculty and the university in the future. Whether you are a seasoned researcher or just a novice in this field, or a student taking your first steps into the world of inquiry, your presence here matters. You bring fresh perspectives, bold questions, and energy that keeps academia alive and evolving. Dr. Balis, we at faculty have set up a Center for Entrepreneur Development and Consultancy Unit in the faculty. So it's for innovative culture, and what we address today, entrepreneurial excellence and all we are addressing. So this unit we set up last year, December. So it's very young. So there's a lot of mileage that we want to move forward. So it is to inspire public, university students, everybody at large, SME development, small and medium scale entrepreneurs, the enterprise development, and encourage entrepreneurs for moving into new heights. especially with the technological developments that had rapidly changed the entire world just after COVID-19. So all of a sudden we found social media and everything has gone to the grassroots level in the country, every part of it. So this is what we are doing at the moment, and that's the next range. So this conference, we believe, is going to give us a lot of light to that. And with this, I would like to thank our dedicated faculty, Vice Chancellor, the administration led by Registrar and Bursa, the organization teams. Now we have become a real good event managers, and the researchers who have poured their time and passion into making this conference a reality. A lot of thanks to you. Their commitment reminds us that behind every great institution, there are people who care deeply about nurturing thought and fostering growth. On top of this, I cherish the cohesiveness of all members and the motivation to perform each and every one's role in a dedicated and passionate manner at this event, which will strengthen the work we perform at the Faculty of Management Studies and at the Open University of Sri Lanka in serving the students, those who are spread all over the country, and the community at large. This is what we stand for. And this experience will improve the happiness and joy in performing the day-to-day work of our colleagues, members of the faculty, and especially the networking that we have developed today. And a lot of thanks from my side to all the sponsors, those who made this a reality. So as we embark on today's in exchange and exploration, I encourage you to be open, be curious, and most of all, be inspired. Let this be a space where where ideas flourish, partnerships begin, and the spark of innovation finds new fuel. I wish you an enjoyable and fruitful research session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear sir, for your kind words. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the final speech for today. To address the gathering, let me now invite the Director of Research Unit of the Open University of Sri Lanka, Senior Professor Sharma R. Veerakon. Over to you, dear madam.
Very good morning to all of you. Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratna, our Vice Chancellor and the Chief Guest of this occasion, and our keynote speakers, Dr. Gersmos Balis from University of Bristol, UK, and Dr. Alvisi Favato from University of Glasgow, again from UK, and Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and other deans who are present here with us, Acting Librarian, Bursa, Professor Aruna Shantha, the Conference Chair of ICOME 2025, all academics, administrative, and also non-academic staff members, our diligent paper presenters, and ladies and gentlemen. As the Director of the Research Unit of the Open University of Sri Lanka, it's a pleasure to share a few words about vibrant research culture we have cultivated and continuously upgraded. And at this occasion, I wish to thank Professor Aruna Shantha, the Conference Chair of ICOME 2025 and the Conference Committee for this invitation. At OUSL, Sri Lanka's premier open distance learning institute, we are committed to nurturing the potential of our academic staff. We provide ample opportunities for them to engage in cutting edge research, explore novel ideas, and drive innovation, all of which will ultimately significantly contribute to national development. Our continuous commitment is evident in several key initiatives and achievements. As you all know, the annual Open University Research Conference for the past 22 years, the research unit has proudly organized these conferences, transforming them into a high caliber forum that attracts researchers from both local as well as international universities and institutions. On November 13th and 14th of this year, we will host the International Research Conference of the Open University of Sri Lanka, IRCOUSL 2025, aiming to bring together a diverse community of researchers. And our faculties of OUSL are also taking the lead in advancing our research culture. The Faculty of Management Studies has successfully hosted the International Conference on Management and Entrepreneurship, ICOME, for the past 3 years, with a fourth successful event taking place today, the 11th September. In addition to that one, the first research conference of the Faculty of Health Sciences was held in August this year. And similarly, the Center for Environmental Studies and Sustainable Development, CEST of the OUSL, has been a powerhouse organizing the International Conference on Mangroves, ICMS, for 3 consecutive years since 2023, and also the impactful International Conference on Plastics and Environmental Sustainability, ICPES, in 2024, as well as another event planned for this year. At this moment, I want to offer a special congratulations to the Faculty of Management Studies for arranging today's ICOME 2024. The conference theme, Shaping the Future, Innovation, Leadership, and Entrepreneurial Excellence, highlights its focus on cutting-edge topics. ICOME 2025 is more than just a platform for presenting work. It's a vital venue for brainstorming, networking, and forging crucial connections. This event will ignite new initiatives and groundbreaking findings across a wide range of fields, which includes business, entrepreneurship, and innovation, accounting, finance, and banking, marketing, supply chain management, and tourism, human resource management and best practices, interdisciplinary research, and open and distance learning in management education. Ultimately, ICOME 2025 will not only enrich academic experiences but also create invaluable opportunities for collaborative research with local and international institutions, directly contributing to national development and economic productivity. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for participating in ICOME 2025, and I wish the very best to all the presenters whose innovative research and ideas will be showcased here. While congratulating the entire conference committee for their tireless efforts, I wish all of you a productive day of intellectual engagement and stimulating discussion. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, dear madam, for your very encouraging words. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have almost reached the very ending of our conference, the opening ceremony. And now we would like to invite Dr. Ishara Lakmali, the conference secretary of ICOME 2025, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Hi, Boan. Good morning to everyone. So, as we come to the close of this remarkable conference, ICOME 2025, it's my privilege to honor uh, and deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of our organizing team. So, first and foremost, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our Vice Chancellor, the Chief Guest, Senior Professor PMC Tilakaratna, for his guidance and support and presenting today even with the busy schedules. And then I would like to pay my sincere gratitude to our keynote speaker and the guest of honor, Dr. Yersimas Balis, from the Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, University of Bristol. And it has made a very remarkable and meaningful discussion and another milestone for our ICON conference series. And then I would like to thank our Dean of the Faculty, Mr. S.A.D. Senanayak, for all support and guidance given throughout this process, sir. And we can't forget our Professor Nalin Abhesekara, our founding chair of ICON conference, and former dean of our faculty. Thank you so much, sir. Most of the initiatives you have done at the beginning of this conference. Then I would like to thank the deans of the faculty, especially Dean from the Humanities and Social Sciences and Dean from the Health Sciences for presenting today. And I would like to also thank the active librarian, Mr. Balasurya, for coming today and joining with us. And I would like to, again, thank to our administrative divisions from Registrar of our USL and from the Bursa, the support we have received. And then I would like to pay my sincere gratitude to Senior Professor Shama R. Veerakon, Director, Research Unit of our USL. Thank you so much, Madam, for your encouragement today. And then I would like to thank the Director Setmi and the team for media coverage, Director IT, and the Colombo Regional Center, Miss Vindhya Angaman and the team for supporting us from the technical assistant. Then I would like to pay my sincere gratitude to the head of the departments. And so without your support, we can't achieve this. And then I would like to thank all the session chairs, moderators, and the organizing teams of several pre-conference activities, discussions, and the industry forums we have conducted throughout this week. And then I don't forget to thank keynote speaker of who joined online, Dr. Alvis Favato. So with his insightful thoughts about the public accounting, then I would like again to thank our generous sponsors because we are coming to a venue from outside, from our USL. We can't do without their help. So I will name the main sponsors for this conference. People's Bank, Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka, then Sri Lanka Tourism Bureau, Cinnamon Lakeside Hotel, then Sampath Bank PLC, Viva, Unilever, then China Chio Lanka, and Mr. Peshale Vichayavardhana from Lanko, then Hemas Pharmaceuticals, Kellogg's, Mr. Sanath Vijay Singha, the founder MD, AFGO International, LensTech, and all the sponsors. Without your support, actually, we can't achieve this because we need your financial assistance and the other assistance. Without that, we can't do this. Then I would like to thank all the keynote speakers from the sessions, then session shares, and the paper presenters. So without you, actually, we can't conduct or host a conference. And so my big thanks goes to the editorial committee and leading role played by Professor LPS Gamini and the proceeding committee, and all the work done by in coordinating, planning, and every details of this session as well as in tracks. So everyone who supported us, and even from the Dean Office staff, including our newly appointed Assistant Registrar. So thank you so much for everyone. If I miss any name or that any division to mention, I beg your pardon. But anyway, everyone who supported here, so my big thanks and gratitude goes. And then this, as end of this session, so this will be knowledge sharing, experience sharing, as well as that new future plans emerging occasion. So I invite you all to have active discussion here and enrich your insight and share your experiences, and have a wonderful day. Subha dawasa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear madam, for your kind words. And not to forget, we are also very grateful to have received your time and efforts throughout this conference, and also for sharing your kind words today. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have now formally reached the very ending of the program, and a few announcements to make. Our team will assist all of y'all for the relevant tracks, and they will guide y'all on the locations as well. And on your way out, please watch the sponsor videos of our very generous sponsors as well. And once again, thank you for being such a lovely audience and an attentive audience, and thank you very much.
Are you dreaming of becoming a successful profession in banking and finance industry in Sri Lanka? Join IBSL, the pioneer in banking and finance education in Sri Lanka.
A truly unique destination for any event, with endless possibilities for business and leisure. IBSL, Institute of Bankers of Sri Lanka, where your successful banking career begins. Build a solid foundation with our DBF and HDBF programs. Gain internship opportunities at leading banks and financial institutions across Sri Lanka. Advance your professional qualifications all the way to a degree level. Join IBSL today and begin your journey in banking.